What is going on, everybody? I'm Chris Daly, founder of the Sports Court, and as you know, if you follow the channel, I don't know if you can see it, play like a champion today. As a Notre Dame fan, as somebody who supports Notre Dame, as somebody who's watched every single minute of Notre Dame football, aside from the USC game where I was covering an MLS game, professional exemption there, I want to comment on what's going on with the University of Notre Dame football team, with the Fighting Irish, with Brian Kelly leaving the program, 10 years, $95 million. Sayonara, he said to that Notre Dame football team. He didn't even say anything. He just left the Baton Rouge. They had a meeting at 7 a.m. this morning. All the players, Brian Kelly explained what was happening. He apologized from what I heard about how they found out on social media. That's where everybody finds out everything nowadays. But in terms of replacements and in terms of what I think on this situation, I want to get into it. If you saw the live stream last night, you already know what I think about it, but I suggest you watch because I'm going to go a bit more in depth in this video. So what I got to say about this, just right off the bat, is it's beyond me. And I don't think Brian Kelly thinks Notre Dame's making the playoffs, and that's my first thought. My first start as a Notre Dame fan. Oh my gosh, this is not happening. This is not real. Check my phone. Inside reports. Bam, it is real. So all of a sudden, I'm just totally blindsided by this inside report. And then it becomes official. His Twitter bio changes and all that. So I don't think he thinks Notre Dame's making the playoffs. Oklahoma State has a very good shot at being that 4 seed, as you know, Cincinnati and Georgia, and they're up locks. Michigan's almost a lock. All they got to take care of business, though, this upcoming week against Iowa, and then they're in. Notre Dame, it's a toss-up. They need help. They can't do anything now. They just got to sit back and hope the teams help them. So I want to go firstly about what I think of the situation. Brian Kelly does not think they're making the playoffs. I also think Brian Kelly, the way he did it, I'm a big fan of Brian Kelly and what he's done for the Notre Dame program. He came in when Charlie Weiss was the former head coach, and Notre Dame was at its lowest point, losing season, and Brian Kelly made them relevant again. And people in this day and age, with academic standards, with the weather, it is so hard to recruit at Notre Dame. It is very hard to recruit at Notre Dame. Here is a clip from when I interviewed Brian Kelly and asked him about this.
Brian, congrats on yet another great season here. So, Notre Dame is not just a great football school, but it's great academically as well. You ranked highest amongst the top 10 teams in graduation percentage. So, how difficult does this make recruiting when you're limited to only a certain amount of kids?
There are challenges. We'd like to have Notre Dame maybe be in a warmer weather climate area too, if we could arrange that too. These are the challenges that we embrace. We embrace the challenges because it gets us, a student athlete that is committed to the academics of a great university like Notre Dame. So, we've embraced these challenges, and we've taken them, and we've still won football games, and we've still done it with great graduation rates. And I think we've shown that you can do it. You can do it with great student athletes, with challenges geographically in recruiting, and still have an opportunity to win a national championship. So we're proud of that.
So with that being said, I want to talk about this a bit more now. So Brian Kelly leaves Notre Dame. What does this mean for the players? The players are obviously, this situation's huge for them. And if you saw anything from Lincoln Riley and you took anything away from that, him leaving Oklahoma, you already know, recruits, they go to schools for the coach and the weather and a couple other factors. But a big thing is the coach. Recruits left Oklahoma like that. Top recruits in the country said, see ya. Spencer Rattler said, see ya. So, huge players coming into Oklahoma left. That was my biggest worry with Notre Dame, too. It was, first off, wow, Brian Kelly doesn't think they're probably going to make the playoffs then. It's like, because you wouldn't leave a team when they're about to make the playoffs. And if they do, that would be something. I think they got a good shot at it. They still have a good shot at it, and that would definitely be something. And then I'm thinking to myself, so they make the playoffs. Who's going to be the coach? Marcus Freeman, most likely the answer. Maybe Tommy Rees. We don't know. And that's up to the AD Jack Swarback. So I just find this whole situation very, very interesting because of the way it happened. they are almost in the college football playoffs, and Brian Kelly just goes. And then I talk about recruiting. My biggest worry was recruits were going to leave the school. So far, it hasn't happened. And you know why? And this is where we're going to talk about the coaching now. It's because of a guy named Marcus Freeman. Guys respect Marcus Freeman. Guys committed to Notre Dame because of Marcus Freeman. Notre Dame was never a top recruiting powerhouse in the country until Marcus Freeman came in as a defensive coordinator. Marcus Freeman from Cincinnati is a defensive coordinator for Notre Dame, and he's done a phenomenal job at building this Notre Dame defense into one of the perennial powerhouses the past couple of years. Notre Dame is elite at recruiting right now. Top 3 in the country for the next 2 classes. For the next 2 upcoming classes. Why? Guess why? Because Marcus Freeman helped recruit those guys. And a lot of guys are coming out on Twitter saying, I'm staying at Notre Dame. I know there's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm staying. Marcus Freeman's the man. Hire Marcus Freeman. That's what they're saying. The recruits are saying hire Marcus Freeman. If I'm the AD at Notre Dame, if I'm the athletic director, you know what I'm doing right now? Right here, right now? I'm getting the papers out, I'm getting the contract out, and I'm signing Marcus Freeman. Because Brian Kelly goes to LSU and offers Marcus Freeman, reportedly just offered Marcus Freeman the highest paid defensive coordinator position in all of college football. He also offered Tommy Rees, who's the offensive coordinator, a spot on the OC, as the OC there. That is nuts. And Marcus Freeman, he's looking at that money. He's not going to back away from Notre Dame just yet, but he's looking at that money like, whoa, I like that. But I definitely think he has a good shot at getting this Notre Dame head coaching job, so he wants to wait it out and see. And you know what he also wants to do? He wants to wait out and see if they make the college football playoffs, because that's what a head coach does. And I get Lincoln Riley for doing this. I can understand, because they were not going to make the playoffs. Oklahoma was not going to make the college football playoffs, but Notre Dame could. And if it's any team that's not going to make the playoffs and we already know it, then I understand it to an extent. I think they should carry out the season, but hey, some players don't. Some players say see ya and they don't play in the bowl games. If I'm Brian Kelly, I would have stayed. And I think if anyone else is Brian Kelly, they probably would have stayed to see if they made the college football playoffs or not. Brian Kelly, 10 years, $95 million. But my biggest thing is hire Marcus Freeman. He is the guy, and he's a guy that doesn't have to come in and try to get respect from the guys in the locker room. He already has respect from the guys in the locker room. He has respect from the guys coming into the locker room. That's a big thing. He already has respect there in the locker room and the guys coming into the locker room. That's 6 years of respect already. Bada bing, bada boom. 6 years of respect. You can't teach that. You can't just find that in any other coach in the country. You can't. He's right at the tip of your fingers. He's at the palm. He's right there in your fingertips. You just got to snatch him. Snatch him while you can, Notre Dame. Snatch him while you can. And you know what? If Notre Dame gets to the playoffs, I want to see him win the national championship. Not just because I'm a fan, but I want to see him prove Brian Kelly wrong. If he doesn't even think they can make the playoffs, win the national championship if you're Notre Dame. If you were that 4 seed, beat Georgia. This, I hope, put a chip on the shoulders of every player in that locker room. Of Jack Cohn. I hope it put a chip on your shoulder. Kyle Hamilton, maybe you come back and play. I don't know if he's injured or not still, but if he is, come back and play, maybe. Isaiah Foskey, all these players. And now, besides Marcus Freeman, some other possible head coaching candidates are Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell, head coach at Cincinnati right now. And listen, Notre Dame's had some success with Cincinnati coaches. Brian Kelly, Marcus Freeman, Luke Fickell, things come in threes. I personally don't think this is going to happen. But if it does, I will not be mad about it. But I do think with this, Marcus Freeman may say, hey, a buddy of mine's coming back. But you also may say, the money's there at LSU. So it puts Marcus Freeman in a weird situation. I think Marcus Freeman's already got respect of the guys. So I would go with Marcus Freeman. If you get a good offensive coordinator, if Tommy Rees does stay, then good, you have one. The offense is relatively the same as it has been running. And if you don't, then that's time, you got to try to find an offensive coordinator as well. And then a new defensive coordinator. So Luke Fickell is a big one that comes into people's minds. The next one is Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern. He's a phenomenal for Northwestern. They're a very, very good football team. He's since 2006. He's been there for a while. He's been there for a long, long time. Wait, what's Racket Man's gonna be a long, long time. I don't know. I didn't even want to sing. I'm sorry about that if you had to hear that. But yeah, Pat Fitzgerald. He's a guy who's very experienced in college football. He's very experienced in that geographic area of that Midwestern area. You know, all those states up there that no one really ever goes on vacation to, unless you got cousins there. But that's all jokes, by the way. So he was also a very good player. He was a linebacker and sixth longest tenured coach in Division I right now. He is one of the best coaches in all of college football. I would personally be fine. I wouldn't be fine if they hired him. I think Marcus Freeman's the better fit right now for Notre Dame. But if they do hire him, Notre Dame, I would say, yeah, that's a good hire. Yeah, that's a good hire. And he does it with academic restrictions. That's the big thing, academic restrictions. Some people are saying Urban Meyer right now, get him on the phone. Well, the thing with Urban Meyer is Notre Dame likes a clean track record. And Urban Meyer, quite frankly, does not have a clean track record. He is a phenomenal college football coach in that area, too. We talk about that geographic area. Urban Meyer's proved himself in there. He's proven himself everywhere he's gone. Except the Jaguars. So I think he would also be a potential hire for Notre Dame right now. Say if I had to make a list of the best hires, if Notre Dame made a hire, I'd rank them. Marcus Freeman at 1. I would put Luke Fickell at 2. I'd probably put Pat Fitzgerald at 3, and I'll put Urban Meyer at 4. And I think all of them would be good hires, but I think Marcus Freeman is the best of them all. And to me, it's not close. It is not close for me. It is not even close for me. It's like this and that. I mean, I'm just saying, he already has respect. He already has respect from the guys in the locker room and the guys coming into the guys in the locker room and the guys coming into the locker room. I don't know. I'm going nuts. I repeated myself. And I don't care because I need to make my statement known. I need to make my point known. All the media out there, listen up. Listen up. Marcus Freeman's the man. I listened to ESPN today, and I love it. I love listening to ESPN, getting my sports. They don't even mention Marcus Freeman. How? How are you going to report about a potential new head coach at Notre Dame, and you don't talk about the obvious frontrunner in Marcus Freeman? It just blows my mind. And if you're Notre Dame, you got to do it quick, because Marcus Freeman just got a very, very lucrative offer. Anyways, Chris Daly, founder of the Sports Court. Sayonara. Peace. This right here. Just want to give a quick shout out to Conor Fagan.